Hi class, and welcome to Unit 4, Avenues to Learning. This is one of my favorite units, if not the favorite, in this class. Because in this unit, we talk about some aspects of learning that are more abstract and personal. Specifically, we want to be able to do the following after reading through this unit. Recognize personal learning preferences and demonstrate specific study and note-taking methods that utilize those preferences, and work effectively as a member of at least 3 different groups of diverse individuals to achieve assigned goals. But before we get into Unit 4 too far, let's do a little bit of review. Let's do a little trivia to see what we remember and hopefully learned from Unit 3. So, a few trivia questions. First one, what are the 4 C's mentioned in reference to building resilience as a student? So, courage, comfort, confidence, control. Courage, confidence, connections, control. Creativity, control, compassion, confidence. Confidence, control, connections, critical thinking. Say that 7 times fast. That would be super impressive. So if you need to pause the video to think about it, that's fine. And here's the big reveal. Hopefully you were thinking the following after reading the unit. Courage, confidence, connections, control. Now, if you combine any 4, any combination of these would be a good combination. These are good attributes, right, or good things to have for building resilience. Okay, so next question, fill in the blank. People who are motivated from within or have an innate desire, not based on grades, money, or others' opinions, are motivated how? So hopefully you were thinking the following intrinsically. And if you're thinking, if you see grades, money, others' opinions, that's extrinsically, but this question or this statement is saying not based on those things. However, in the feedback that I gave, most of you all, probably all of you all, hopefully you noticed that I was saying they kind of cross over. They mean extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. It's really hard to separate them, right? So it's not really a concrete, it's very abstract, as I was mentioning. Unit 4, as well as a lot of the units, and especially Unit 2, very abstract. So it's really hard to separate them if you are doing something for money, but maybe that thing that you're doing is really important just to you. It's not necessarily for money. You happen to gain money from it, and that's a good thing from it. So that's just one example. There are tons of examples. It's hard to find examples where the motivation is actually solely extrinsic or solely intrinsic. So I think more than not, they kind of cross over. Okay, so next favorite question in Road Trip Nation, road hazards. What is the name of the college visited by Melanie, Becca, and Armand in Fort Yates, North Dakota? Sorry about that typo there. So what's the name of that college? Is it Fort Yates Community College, North Dakota State University, Fort Yates University, or Sitting Bull College? So hopefully you watched the video, because you might be surprised by the answer. Is Sitting Bull College. Now, I like to stay away from stereotypes. It sounds like something that would be a stereotypical name, or someone might use that as a joke, but no, that's the actual name. The name itself is not originally a joke, but TV and media have made it, used certain names or references to Native American peoples as a joke, which is kind of sad, really, but not kind of, it's very sad. But yeah, it's Sitting Bull College. And if you watch the video, you're like, oh yeah, that's what it said. Okay, so last one. From the list of 19 elements that can help you develop grit, remember grit, Unit 3, which is most important to you and why? So which one is most important to you? Hopefully you have something in your mind from Unit 3. There are 19 elements. I'm going to just share mine, right? Okay, so mine would be patience. Angela Duckworth said the following about patience in 2016. The journey towards any valuable goal takes more patience than we think it should. But the patience of mindfulness is a great strengthener of patience. So You get patience upon patience, right? The more you practice patience, the more patience you get. That's basically what she's saying. And it's really cool to be patient about something and then experience the payoff for being patient. So you know, I think in retrospect, once I get food at a restaurant, which I haven't been to in a long time, but once the food comes to me in a restaurant, it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad, unless the service is just lousy. But busy restaurant, have to wait a little bit for the food, great payoff, and you appreciate it more. Yeah, when you have to work for it and be patient for it. That's for me. What is it for you? Like, so here we are back to unit 4. What is your learning preference? You probably have one preference that supersedes, be it doing physical activities, watching a video or demonstration, or simply listening to a lecture. My preference is auditory learning. I'm a musician and linguist, so those areas of my brain needed to learn auditorily are fairly sharp. I am not a good visual learner. When I see a graph or chart in an essay, I tend to skip over it. That said, I am also a visual learner by virtue of the fact that I have sight. I'm a kinesthetic learner by virtue of the fact that I have a sense of touch. We all have these capabilities for learning. Having a preference simply means that you feel more capable for or comfortable about learning in a certain way versus another. So please watch this video in the Canvas announcement. In the video, Professor Gartner talks about using more than just one way to learn, which most of us can likely relate to, given the multiple streams of information we take in our daily lives. So hopefully you've been using this video as you're doing your engagement guide, and you really do need this part of the video to get through the middle part of your engagement guide. So here we go, fill in the blank. It won't show up on the screen, you'll just have to hear it. Okay, so here we go. Thinking more deliberately about some alternative approaches can make our time and effort more. And before I reveal the answer, this is from the textbook, the digital textbook that is in your Canvas page. You open your Canvas page and there it is. Right? It's not a physical book, it's not a PDF, it's actually the links, all links that you see in Canvas for our class. Productive, that's the answer. Thinking more deliberately about some alternative approaches can make our time and effort more productive. So while human beings have many similarities, they also have many small but important differences as well, including which of the following of the senses they tend to rely on in processing information. Right. So these differences, they may include, oh, I prefer this sense, I prefer this sense, I prefer using this sense to learn, I prefer dancing around the room to learn, I prefer having a hands-on approach, getting my hands actually doing something while I'm learning. Don't just tell me about it, professor. I actually have to stand up and do something or have some kind of something in my hand, some kind of microscope. Let me see the cells. Let's not just talk about them. That's hard for me to talk about because just show me the words. And I don't know why that is. That can be a detriment actually also, because when I get up to do stuff and then I see diagrams and all that stuff, yeah, I can get kind of confused. Anyway, so I definitely don't mean to boast like, oh, I can just listen to a lecture. No, it's nice, but you know, it kind of becomes a detriment when you don't get to just sit there. Okay, so all of these influences, all of these influence the way we learn. So let's call them, you guessed it, learning preferences. Yeah, we have learning preferences, as we have talked about a couple times already. But for most students, having a designated study area is a key factor in making the most of their learning preferences. It's good to not have surprises around. Know what's going to go on in your environment. Maybe familiar with the sounds so you're not distracted, familiar with the layout of the room. So it's not, oh, I wonder what that is on the wall. I wonder why they did it like that. And you can, find yourself out in the middle of the ocean somewhere, not really focusing on what you need to focus on. Okay, so study area. It is important to create or select an environment that works best for you and to use that space regularly. That's what makes it familiar and not surprising to you anymore. Neither tendency, whether you are an early bird or night owl, is inherently good or bad. But taking your internal clock into consideration can help you create a schedule in which you learn best. Junior year, college at OU, it's like 2002 or something like that, 2003 or something like that. I lost the ability to study after 9 p.m. 9 p.m. my eyelids go, they just fall. Now, as a dad of little kids, I have miraculously overcome that tendency. But that's life stuff. That's not sitting down and reading or working on a paper. Can't really do that after 9 p.m. And I'm kind of glad about it. It means my all-nighter day is over. Now, that is unless it is something that I have mastered. If it's something I have to learn after 9 p.m. and I have a regular day, as in I'm doing stuff from like 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. until the afternoon or evening, then when the evening comes, I'm done. No learning for me. Let's just do rote memory stuff, right? Okay. So what about you? Maybe you work best at night. I'm kind of jealous. Okay. So historically, almost every significant human achievement has been the result of a coordinated human endeavor. Don't trip over the spelling of coordinated. It has two O's, but coordinated human endeavor. Okay, so hopefully you use that for your engagement guide. This next part of the unit is really my favorite. It's definitely my favorite part of this unit. From this point on in the unit, we'll talk about valuing diversity so that we can ultimately collaborate with others toward a common goal. I consider the following information to be vital because as technology advances, our ability and expectation to communicate with people who might be different or might be from different cultures, that will likely increase. That expectation will likely increase as well. Okay, so I'm not going to say a whole lot about the video here. So you can access this video in the announcement in Canvas. I'll just pose this question to you. How do you think emotional intelligence plays into this conversation? So have that in your mind before you watch the video. How do you think emotional intelligence plays into this conversation between two people who seemingly have polar opposite viewpoints on the topic of race and privilege? And I say seemingly, they definitely do. So let me put this disclaimer out here first before you watch it. Hopefully you haven't watched it yet. So I do not support CRT, critical race theory. I don't support the concept of race, period. Instead, I promote learning skills for civil communication between cultures that may initially and ultimately hold varying viewpoints about human experiences. So if I were to talk about race, it might be a long video, or it might be short. It might just be silent because there's no such thing as different human races. What is that about? I'm not sure. So
I think white people do need to talk about their whiteness more, and we're here doing it.
We're here to talk about white privilege. We want to bring it back.
Okay, so you heard how that video started. Maybe I whet your appetite. Go watch it, and the link in Canvas. Okay, again, I don't support CRT, so keep that in mind. Okay, so have you ever done a privilege walk? I have, and I found it to be very enlightening. Now, because we have news at our fingertips all day and all night, every day and every night, you can probably guess the outcome of the privilege walk in this video. It is dripping with wokeness, which to me is I don't know. I'll leave my opinion out of that. Anyway, so this video is in announcements in Canvas, and I'd like to say though that it's simply an exercise to help people think about people as human beings instead of the society given titles like Black or white or LGBTQ plus or straight, etc. So pre-segregation of schools and the various civil rights movements that continue today, I imagine that people have higher chances of being paired with someone that was similar in culture or background. That is, before a lot of schools were segregated in the 60s and later. However, it's possible that you'll very likely be paired or have to collaborate with someone who is very different from you, different than you physically, religiously, politically, or in a myriad of other ways.
Some people are born into families where they have to walk miles just to get water.
Okay, so watch that. So one way we can practice and increase our emotional intelligence is by learning to recognize and admit our biases. We would hold some biases unconsciously. Communicating with other people with different outlooks on life can help us to recognize and look beyond those biases. So watch these two videos, which are linked in the announcement in Canvas, to learn more about recognizing and overcoming unconscious biases. Disclaimer, this is really important. The second video uses the N-word a few times, I think like 2 or 3 times. It is not celebrated by the speaker, however. Rather, it is used in reference to the speaker's personal experience and for educational purposes as she tells her story. Please do not watch it if you're averse to the N-word. A word that I also find in itself, and when used outside of relating personal accounts, to be deplorable. I think that word is deplorable. That's my disclaimer. So you've been warned.